Hi girls, it's Amber from So Simple Quilt Shop in Ozark, Missouri. It's time to do our second block of our Saturday sampler, and so we're going to get started today by showing you the pattern. First of all, this is what your pattern is going to look like. You're going to have your piecing information, and on the back you're going to have your template for your applique. So on your piecing directions, the first thing it's going to tell you out of your medium fabric that you need to cut a 9.5 inch square. You need to cut 4 9.5 by 2.5 inch long rectangles and 4 2-inch squares. So those are going to be part of your block. So the first thing you're going to want to do is piece that. And I've already got one partially pieced here, and so we're just going to sew on the other side of the block. So I'm going to do that really quick. Got my machine set at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and if you haven't already done so, you would probably want to check that to make sure that you have an accurate seam allowance. And like I mentioned before, a lot of times I will do a scant 1/4 of an inch just because I like to have that little bit of extra. Sew this on. Got that sewn. And I'm sure a lot of you wonder why I'm having you put these 4 corners in when they're exactly the same piece of fabric. The reason why I do that is because it gives you a definite idea of where your corner is, and it helps you in putting on your applique block to get it square on there. So from this point, we're going to go up here and we're going to press it. So I like to use steam when I press, and I like to use starch. So I like to take a little bit of starch, sometimes a lot of starch, and put on my block. And I think that does 2 things. It makes it lie nice and flat, and it also gives it some stability so that when you're doing your applique, you have a little bit better luck and result by starching your block. So once you've done this, you have your 12.5 inch finished block. So from there, we're going to look at the back, and we're going to look at your template. It has a fold line on here because this is only half of your template. We can't fit it all on here because it's a 12.5 inch wide piece. So the first thing you're going to do, I'll lay this up so you can see it, is you're going to put this on top and trace around it, and also trace the dotted line, which is your fold line. Then you're going to take that off, you're going to invert it and line it up with your fold line, and you're going to trace again on the other side. And if you do that, I'll just do a little bit of it here. And I like to use a ruler or something to give me a really nice straight line, but we're just doing this kind of quickly here so we don't bore you with that. And you need to line up, which I hadn't lined up there, so you just line up if you miss that and retrace over your lines. Just don't get confused when you get ready to cut which one it is that you're on. And you would continue to do that all the way around until you have that entire thing drawn off. Once you've done that, it will look like this. It will be traced all the way around, and I cut out the middle part of my fusible interfacing so that I do not waste it, and also when I cut this out, I'll have a piece of usable fabric there in case I would need it later on. Now, for the sake of this, in order to cut this out and not take a long time, I have folded it in half along my fold line, and I'm going to cut like this. Now normally I would not do that. I would cut each piece individually, but as you can see, it could take a little time to cut all the way around this block because it is a lot of angles. So I'm going to cut as quickly as possible, but be as accurate as possible. Cut around here. Take your time when you're cutting. There's no reason to be in a hurry like I am right now, because you want yours to be as accurate as possible. Okay, almost got it halfway done. Cutting this. I hope all of you guys enjoyed our first block and were able to get it done. And this really does save quite a bit of time. Instead of making all the half square triangles, you just make your one big piece block and then use these to go all the way around. The other thing is, since you don't have as many blocks piece blocks in there, you have a better chance of having a more accurate 12.5-inch finished block when you're done. So we're getting pretty close here. Now I'm not exactly sure if this is going to line up exactly right because I have done it this way, but we're going to give it a shot, and at least you'll get an idea of what we're doing. Okay, got it all cut out. So when you open it up, you can see that you have the applique portion of your block. You have a definite top and sides. These points right here are your corners, and that's one of the reasons why I left the corners, or I did the 2-inch squares around the outside edge, so that you could have that to match up to. So you're going to peel that off. You're going to put your block up here, and you're going to match up those 2.5-inch edges. And also, you're going to match up so your points right here come to the edge of your seam. And then you're going to fuse that in place. Kind of fuse down one side. You can get it all laid out nice and flat if you want to before you fuse it down. I'm just doing this because of my ironing area isn't quite as big as what I normally would use. And this way I can kind of do a little bit at a time. And actually, for cutting it out like that, I think it turned out pretty good. I want that to come up a little bit more right there. And since it's still warm, I can pull it up just a little bit and get it up a little bit closer to where I want it. Okay, we have our block fused on, so you can see all those half square triangles that we would have normally done. We did it with just pretty easily by doing it that way. So now we're going to switch over and we're going to do our applique portion. You'll want to put on an open toe foot and choose the applique method that you like most. I tend to use a blanket stitch, so I'm going to go to a blanket stitch, and then you would begin the blanket stitch portion, and you can adjust that to however you would, whatever size of blanket stitch you would like. So I'm just going to go around for a little bit to give you an idea of what it would look like. Raise and lower. Just a little bit more so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to stop right there, and you can see where I've appliqued around. And then here is a finished block that we appliqued out of the red, and I did it in a tan thread Normally I do it in red, but the tan shows up a little bit better and doesn't look bad, so you could even do it in tan if you wanted to. So that is your finished 12.5-inch block for this month. And Gary is going to stand up to the top, and you'll see your blue block, and then in the top right-hand corner is your red one. So that is block 2 of our Saturday sampler. And if you have any questions, you can always call us at 417-582-8383. You can visit us on the web at SoSimpleQuilts.com. And remember, we're located in Ozark, right behind Lambert's Cafe. Thanks, and have a blessed day.